Here are the top stories for today, January 10, 2022. Testing and ramping up the healthcare system is in full blast as the country continues to grapple with soaring coronavirus infections in Metro Manila and other areas. The government is sparing no effort in replacing vaccine doses that were spoiled due to Typhoon Odette. It also gearing up for the looming vaccination of kids 5 to 11 years of age by next month. More checkpoints and police officers in the streets expected as the nationwide gun ban for the May polls is now in effect. They are also on the lookout against unvaccinated persons roaming around. And aid from the United States for areas hit by Typhoon Odette tops 1 billion pesos as relief and recovery efforts continue to be in full swing. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Malacanang urges PhilHealth to include free RT-PCR testing on its COVID-19 home isolation benefit packages. PhilHealth currently covers free testing but only among patients who are symptomatic and are currently confined in public or private hospitals. In an interview, acting presidential spokesperson and Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles says Malacanang is pushing PhilHealth to increase the packages for home treatment so that those who are treating themselves at home can also be covered, including the RT-PCR testing. Under PhilHealth's home services package, there will be consultations for a minimum of 10 days, 24/7 daily monitoring of patients through teleconsultation, provision of a home isolation kit, and referral to higher level facilities should they experience deterioration during home isolation. The national government is ramping up hospital bed capacity, RT-PCR testing, and vaccination in the wake of record high daily COVID-19 infections. It also orders prompt and appropriate referrals of patients. The Interagency Task Force Sub-Technical Working Group recommends an increase in the availability of bed capacity in the National Capital Region and surrounding areas such as Cavite, Laguna, Bulacan, and Rizal. The IATF also recommends reassessment of temporary treatment and monitoring facilities as well as the removal of any referral quotas from hospitals. Other recommendations include the increase in telehealth and telemedicine capacity outside NCR, RT-PCR testing capacity in NCR Plus to be operational 7 days a week. Applications for licenses to operate for new RT-PCR laboratories has to be fast-tracked and ramp up vaccination rates outside NCR. Malacanang says escalating the alert level in Metro Manila and nearby areas is possible should the healthcare utilization rate reach its threshold. The national government says it will not think twice about escalating the alert level status in the National Capital Region and neighboring areas amid the soaring number of COVID-19 cases. Acting presidential spokesperson and Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles says Metro Manila's shift to alert level 4 from the current alert level 3 is possible if the country's 2-week growth rate, average daily attack rate, and healthcare utilization rate would all be in high levels. He says the availability of healthcare workers would also be among the qualifications. Meanwhile, the ILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya warned that barangay officials may face charges if proven that the surge in COVID-19 cases in their jurisdiction was due to poor implementation of the minimum public health standards. He particularly points out the unabated outdoor activities of their unvaccinated residents. Malaya says barangay officials must be guided by the ordinances passed by their respective LGUs. And to further contain the spread of COVID-19, Nograles encourages the Catholic prelates to make the recently held Traslacion as their template for future church celebrations in the country. The Catholic Church is slated to celebrate the Sinulog Festival on January 16 and the Dinagyang Festival on January 23. Nograles says the government is pleading for the strict implementation of the health protocols for the safety of everyone. For its part, the Santo Niño Parish of Pandacan, Manila announced the cancellation of in-person Holy Mass on January 16, Feast of the Santo Niño. The Basilica Menore del Santo Niño in Cebu will also hold an online celebration as it urges devotees to pray that they will return to the normal celebration of devotion in the coming years. False and baseless. This is the reaction of Cabinet Secretary and Acting Presidential Spokesperson Carlo Nograles to rumors of a total lockdown in the country. Nograles said that while the country is dealing with a real threat that understandably concerns our people, spreading these unverified rumors contributes to unnecessary anxiety and needless panic. Nograles referred to an audio clip shared via personal messages and social media in which a male voice advised the public to stock up on essential supplies as the government is considering placing the country under a total lockdown. The palace reminds the public to get only updates and news, especially about the COVID-19 pandemic, from official sources. Vaccines damaged during the onslaught of Typhoon Odette last month can be replaced. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 made the assurance after the arrival of more than 2.7 million doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines yesterday, January 9. Task Force Head of Strategic Communications Assistant Secretary Wilben Mayor says the U.S. donated jabs via the COVAX facility would replenish the spoiled vaccines in areas hit by Odette. The replacement, however, will take some time since some typhoon-affected areas still have no electricity, which could compromise the potency of the jabs. The government has so far vaccinated over 52.3 million individuals as of yesterday, January 9. Meanwhile, children aged 5 to 11 years of age may be inoculated next month as soon as the Pfizer jabs specifically formulated for children finally arrive. 80% of Filipinos are said to be hopeful that the worst of COVID-19 is over. This is the result of the latest SWS survey, which was conducted from December 12 to 16. In its latest report, those who are saying the worst of COVID-19 is over is 83% in Mindanao, 82% in Metro Manila, 81% in Balance, Luzon, and 75% in the Visayas, higher than its September 2021 report. Meanwhile, those fearing the worst is yet to come fell sharply from 60% in September 21 to 19% in December 2021. This is the lowest since the 31% in November 2020. It is higher in the Visayas at 24%, Metro Manila at 18%, Balance, Luzon, and Mindanao both at 17%. Meanwhile, those worried about catching COVID-19 is highest in the Visayas, followed by Mindanao, Metro Manila, and Balance, Luzon. Still ahead, restrain only for now, the Interior Department says arresting those unvaccinated is just a last resort. And the presidential yacht BRP Ang Pangulo, which serves as a floating hospital, brings medical aid to typhoon-hit areas. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
You are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective.
I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic because everyone is safe No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work. The nationwide election gun ban has kicked off on Sunday. Authorities urge everyone passing through police checkpoints in borders and major roads to stop and cooperate. Here is our report from Marita Moaje.
Police officers have tightened security at the checkpoint at the boundary of San Mateo Rizal and Quezon City. The NCR and Rizal Province are under Alert Level 3 until January 15 as COVID-19 cases continue to increase. Authorities are also on the lookout against those who are not authorized to carry firearms, as the gun ban for the May 2022 polls took effect on Sunday, January 9. Uniformed police and military personnel and other law enforcers are the only ones allowed to carry firearms outside their residence during the election period. A total of 169 checkpoints are set up with 1,300 police personnel deployed in Central Luzon to strictly implement the 150-day election gun ban. General Matthew Bakay, Police Regional Office 3 Director, urged the public to cooperate with authorities at checkpoints and reiterated they will observe policies and procedures. At checkpoints, motorists are advised to slow down, dim their headlights, turn on their cabin lights, and answer promptly if asked by authorities. As early as Sunday, 5 persons were arrested in violation of the election gun ban. Of the 5, 2 were nabbed at the National Capital Region, while the 3 others were arrested in Zamboanga Peninsula. Gun owners and enthusiasts can apply for exemption until May 25. Violators may be imprisoned for not less than 1 year but not more than 6 years. NCRPO Chief Major General Vicente Dano Jr. said they will put up joint PNP COMELEC AFP checkpoints against loose firearms, deadly weapons, unauthorized security personnel, private armed groups, wanted persons, and other unlawful incidents related to the forthcoming national elections. In Soxargen, the Police Regional Office 12 was called on gun owners and enthusiasts to cooperate with the implementation of the election gun ban, as strict police checkpoints will be set up across the region. Brigadier General Alexander Tagum, PRO 12 Director, said he has issued an order to police field units to arrest violators of the nationwide gun ban to be implemented from January 9 to June 8 this year. Meanwhile, Negros Oriental has identified 9 election hotspots or areas of concern leading to the May 9, 2022 national and local polls. Lawyer Eddie Aba, COMELEC Provincial Election Supervisor, said the hotspots were among the security concerns tackled during the Provincial Joint Security Control Center meeting on Saturday afternoon. Aba said while there is still no imminent threat to Negros Oriental, it is public knowledge that there are positions that are hotly contested. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Moaje.
Barangay authorities will arrest unvaccinated individuals going outdoors for non-essential purposes amid the rise in COVID-19 cases only as a last resort. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said the arrest will only be made in the event the target persons remain uncooperative despite all courteous efforts to stop them. Año refuted claims that President Rodrigo Duterte's directive restricting the movement of unvaccinated persons violates their rights. To avoid any untoward incident, Año told the public to always bring their vaccination cards and show it to authorities as proof of vaccination against COVID-19 upon request. Senatorial aspirant and former presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo also defended Duterte's directive, saying it was part of the president's duty as head of state. Panelo said provisions in the 1987 Constitution allow the president to order restrictions in the mobility of unvaccinated people to secure the safety of the general public from the infectious disease. He insisted that the movement restriction order will benefit both those whose movements are impaired as well as those who are not, as the risk of infection of COVID-19 is greatly diminished. The presidential yacht BRP Ang Pangulo continues its run as a floating hospital as it serves the residents of Typhoon Odette battered Siargao Island. Medical teams aboard the repurposed ship provided medical aid to 235 patients from January 6 to 7. Aside from medical aid, the BRP Ang Pangulo provided food, water, relief packs, as well as services such as haircuts and charging stations for devices. Meanwhile, landing dock BRP Tarlac left Manila South Harbor on January 7 for its third transport mission in areas devastated by odette in Visayas and in Mindanao. BRP Tarlac is transporting over 540,000 kilograms of relief goods and essential items from government and private institutions. Meanwhile, the Naval Reserve Command deployed reserve vessel MV Gladiolus II to complement the government's humanitarian assistance and disaster response efforts in Palawan last January 8. A construction worker's good deed paved the way for his own dream to be fulfilled. Erham Awaludin, one of the first responders in last year's ill-fated C-130 Hercules plane crash in Patikul, Sulu, has been accepted as a soldier at the 11th Infantry Division. The construction worker caught the nation's attention after a photograph of him assisting crash survivor Private First Class Ganvi Ligayan circulated all over the internet. 2 days later, officers of the 11ID recognized Awaludin in the queue of applicants to the Army. Division Commander Major General William Gonzales personally assured Awaludin that his heroic actions would have merit in his application. Awaludin and 298 other individuals officially joined the ranks of the 11ID soldiers on December 9, 2021. He thanked everyone who helped realize his dream to become a soldier and vowed not to put to waste the opportunity given to him. Moving on to business, the government is urging businesses to focus on reskilling and upskilling their people to adapt to changes, especially those brought about by the pandemic. The Philippine Trade Training Center, the training arm of the Department of Trade and Industry, is looking at sector development, identifying skills that are in demand and competencies that can respond to the requirements of the industry. The PTT said a lot of new in-demand skills came out resulting from the pandemic, with industry players themselves getting involved in the development of training courses or modules. To help with this, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, introduced its Tulong Trabajo, the latest addition to the agency's scholarship programs that seek to reskill and upskill target beneficiaries, including employed workers. The Tulong Trabajo Scholarship Program can help the MSMEs as target beneficiaries include employed workers who seek skilling, upskilling, or reskilling. Up next, to the rescue, the United States has so far sent over 1 billion pesos worth of aid to typhoon victims. And a sigh of relief for Antiques Sacadas as they are now covered by social protection benefits. More stories when the PNA Newsroom returns. Residents in Bohol who were still reeling from the effects of Typhoon Odette were able to buy cheaper supplies last Friday through the DTI Descuento Caravan. The Department of Trade and Industry's provincial office spearheaded the caravan activity in the towns of Ubay and Talibon. The Descuento Caravan offered basic and prime food items, as well as construction and hardware materials to the victims of the typhoon. DTI Bohol opened a similar caravan on Saturday, January 8 in Inabanga, Bohol. Civic organizations, private groups, and individuals are also complementing government relief efforts in typhoon-affected communities. And in Surigao City, the Lions Club International District led the distribution of food packs to more than 100 Typhoon Odette-affected residents in Barangay Sabang, Mabua, San Juan, and Mapawa on Saturday and on Sunday. They also gave away 600 water containers and 365 gallons of potable water. 100 solar lamps and 100 solar chargers were also likewise given away last December. Meanwhile, 5,000 food packs are en route to Surigao City Port for distribution to Dinagat Islands. The United States government has so far allocated 1 billion pesos worth of aid to communities affected by Typhoon Odette. The assistance was coursed through the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. Among those distributed were family food packs from the Department of Social Welfare to Caraga, Central Visayas, Mimaropa, and Western Visayas, and other parts of Luzon. In partnership with the World Food Program, the international organization also set up 12 mobile storage units and an emergency logistics hub in Surigao City, Surigao del Norte. It has so far provided 4,800 shelter-grade tarpaulins for the evacuees of southern Leyte, Dinagat Islands, Surigao del Norte, and other typhoon-ravaged areas. On Thursday, the U.S. government sent an additional 950 million pesos worth of humanitarian aid. The U.S. government vowed to continue helping the Philippines respond to natural calamities and to support disaster recovery efforts. Military officials are sure that the death of the most wanted leader of the New People's Army has left a huge blow to the communist terrorist group. Lieutenant General Greg Almerol, commander of the Eastern Mindanao Command, said the death of Menandro Villanueva alias Bok was a major breakthrough as it will take the NPA some time to replace him. Almerol lauded the troops for the accomplishment and the sacrifices of each member of the East MINCOM. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte gave an additional 2 million peso reward to the individuals behind the neutralization of Villanueva. The amount was on top of the 5.6 million peso bounty on his head offered by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP. 10th Infantry Division Commander Ernesto Torres said the money was divided among the people who contributed to the recent breakthrough of the AFP. Villanueva was killed by government troops in an encounter at Barangay Libudon, Mabini, Davao de Oro on Wednesday, January 5. He holds several key positions in the NPA, including the longest-serving secretary of the NPA Southern Mindanao Regional Committee. He is also one of the founding members of the NPA in Mindanao during the 1970s, together with Edgar Jobson. He has been wanted for multiple murder, double frustrated murder, arson, robbery with intimidation, and rebellion, among others. As of press time, the East MINCOM has neutralized 17 top NPA leaders and tallied 545 surrenderers in 2021 alone. Migratory sugar plantation workers, or sacadas from Antique, can now feel more secure at work as they receive insurance from the Social Security System, or SSS. Over 4,000 sacadas were enrolled in the SSS in 2021. This after Governor Rodora Cadiao requested Department of Labor and Employment to have contractors enroll the sakadas they are hiring in the SSS as a requirement. Previously, sugar workers in Negros Occidental who suffer an accident at work pay for their own medical bills, so they are sent home penniless. The injured sakada families also receives assistance from the Antique provincial government through the Aid to Individuals in Crisis Situation or AICS. Now, sakadas can have insurance benefits from SSS aside from the AICS. Sakadas could also avail of claims such as disability, sickness, death, and maternity for women, as well as retirement benefits. The provincial government also plans to allocate funds for the continued SSS insurance of sugar workers who will opt to stay for good and work in the province. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.